In the 21st century, one of the biggest leaps of innovation humankind has ever seen is the advent of online shopping. Now more than ever, consumers are able to search for almost any product or good from around the world, and with the click of a button, they're able to have those needs met and products at their doorstep within 2 to 3 business days. This expedited process of shopping gels well with today's form of commerce and the on-the-go lifestyle many people have. The convenience and flexibility of online shopping has touted its might throughout the pandemic. Despite people being locked in quarantine and many businesses shut down, consumers were still able to have their essential items and needs met from the safety of their home. But how safe is online shopping really? With every action in the universe, its polar opposite is created. The same bodes well for all forms of commerce, including e-commerce, as counterfeiters prowl online shopping sites, selling knockoffs at lower prices. And as we draw near another year of holiday shopping, it's important to take a step back and take a look at ways to shop safe.
Online counterfeiting is basically the sort of old-fashioned brick-and-mortar counterfeiting that we talk about, but now in the online space on e-commerce platforms or social media platforms. So traditionally, counterfeits, which are essentially a product that has a fake logo that hasn't been authorized by the actual manufacturer of the goods, is sold to a consumer. Some consumers know that they're buying a fake product and some don't. In the online space, though, it's very difficult to determine whether a product is actually genuine or if it is a counterfeit. So many people will buy a product off of an e-commerce site thinking that it's a real product, but they have no way of telling until it's shipped to them. They open the package and they look at it and they say, oh, maybe this doesn't look like the product I thought I was buying. Or it may be such a good counterfeit, they can't even tell until perhaps the product breaks or injures someone in their household.
Counterfeits can present a number of harms to consumers. The most obvious one is a harm to health and safety, which we generally find with products such as pharmaceuticals, health and beauty items, or even electronics like cords, which can fail and cause fires. There's also harm that can come from goods such as purses and watches and athletic apparel. When these things are made with substandard materials, plastics that off-gas toxins, or things that may fail and cause harm to consumers because they may snap or drop items, there are a number of physical harms that can come. Beyond that, though, is the harms that come from financial losses. Consumers who go out there and try and buy a legitimate product and then find out that they purchased a counterfeit, they in essence have lost their money there. Now, there are some brands who will recompensate those individuals, who will take those counterfeits off the market, give the individual a legitimate product, but in some cases that doesn't happen. In other cases, consumers don't really know they've gotten a counterfeit, they've just been victimized.
Yeah, so talking about the online space, many of us were already shopping online, and the pandemic forced us all to really live as consumers online. So again, counterfeiters are opportunists, so they moved with where the consumers were moving.
They started to flood the market with counterfeit goods. And at that point, we see this explosion of counterfeits online for several reasons. One is an enormous amount of people started buying products online and they hadn't been to date. But number two, there was a shortage in the supply of goods that American consumers, as well as globally, also were interested in and they couldn't get access to.
Additionally, we've seen people who have been willing to go online to buy regulated products, goods that are controlled by some type of law to ensure that only certain appropriate groups get them, or that only legitimate products get into the hands of consumers.
We've all heard of those reports regarding counterfeit COVID tests and PPE, but those were not the only things that saw a growth industry for counterfeiters.
Let me begin by saying that the ongoing issues posed by COVID-19 related frauds will continue to be a serious and persistent threat to the health and safety of American citizens. Yet before legitimate vaccines were available to the public, counterfeit vaccines hit the market, and scammers began to set up phony websites to steal information from people who were looking to register for vaccinations. Once vaccines started hitting people's arms, counterfeit vaccination cards that illegally bore the logos of federal agencies became prolific. and I would say they continue to be prolific. In short, the evolution of the pandemic has continually created opportunities for fraud.
So the counterfeiters stepped in to meet that demand, and then people were getting products that were fake at the same time. One of the most important things for consumers purchasing products during the holiday season, and as most American consumers are very discount or sale oriented, is to just be very cautious of where they're buying their products. If a sale seems too good to be true, most likely it is.
Be careful of the places where you go online. Make sure that it is a reputable seller. If it's on a third-party e-commerce platform, look at the seller. Is it the legitimate company that is selling it or some other individual? If it's a third party, do some brief searching online to find that third party.
Again, for those products that are in high demand, don't be duped when, for instance, there were no products available and all of a sudden the online space is flooded with the product you were looking for. That's suspicious.
When you receive the product, look at it really carefully. Look at the package. Look at the actual product if you can, without ruining the package, to see, does it look like other products you've seen before? Does it match the image on the ad from where you purchased it? And if not, you can always call the manufacturer to verify. They have a lot of tracking codes on their packaging so that you can call in and say, hey, is this actually one of your products?
Price is sometimes a consideration, but it's not the best one, because counterfeiters have been raising their prices to come up to the price of the legitimate product. But if you do find a product that is significantly lower in price than the legitimate item, you should be cautious.
So you just have to really question what you're looking at, and be sure that you're either going directly to the brand or through authorized sellers.
We at the A-CAPP Center can help fight this issue by bringing education and awareness to consumers, but to brands, to other professionals in the field, to know what trends are happening, but also to know how this practically impacts everybody's life.
We also hope to build collaborative engagements between these partners so that they can share best practices, they can exchange information, and they can learn from each other where the counterfeiters have been able to take advantage.
We do a good job with this at the A-CAPP Center, but just generally for the consumer to understand that counterfeiting is a violation of trademark law. And just remembering that trademarks are actually a protection for the consumer. It's for consumers to know the origin of the goods and where the product is coming from. It's a consumer protection right.
This isn't a problem that only affects big brands or only affects certain parts of the population. This essentially affects every American consumer who buys branded products, but it also affects every company that sells a branded product, whether they're a big multinational corporation with a name maybe we've all heard, or whether it's a local community startup or a small and medium-sized business, that's put a lot of effort into getting their business going and developing their brand and their reputation.
I would say that one of the biggest considerations consumers should keep in mind is that the push towards e-commerce is going to get a lot of attention now in the holiday shopping season. But that threat will not go away once the holiday shopping season ends. So now is the time to be vigilant as we're going online to buy, as we're celebrating coming back together with family and friends. But the drive to online commerce is something we've been seeing for a long time coming. Counterfeiters have known this, and so when this holiday shopping season has passed, remain vigilant and keep yourself safe when shopping online.